Carl here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for sure. And we're talking about the Norwegian black and progressive metal legends that is Enslaved. They're back with their brand new 16th studio album, Heimdal, out on March 3rd, 2023 via Nuclear Blast. Enslaved. Call them visionaries, call them geniuses, or a constant source of peculiarities. One thing everyone can agree on is that they rarely do the same thing twice. Their avant-garde expression just doesn't fit in any particular genre, and everything they deliver can be both challenging and extremely captivating, which of course applies to Heimdal. This record is very much a sum of all those parts. The group's most eclectic release since their last, because if there's one thing we can all expect from this band, it is to never know what is coming next. Even then, expect to be surprised, especially when your album goes from expansive, atmospheric and progressive soundscapes to raw and rough extreme metal. Both sides of Enslaved showcased with startling composure on Behind the Mirror and Congelia, the first two tracks, displaying a dizzying array of ideas and the depths to Enslaved's ever-expanding imagination. The former will leave you breathless through the sheer intensity of Enslaved's monumental display of heaviness, whereas the latter is far more uncouth, even with its detailed progressive delights. I mean, both tracks are littered with progressive nuances, detail, stuff you can't even fathom. It is Enslaved after all. Though I think they really hit an experimental Highwood Forest dweller. This is a previously released single, so chances are you've had your hands on this one for a while. In lesser hands, e.g. Enslaved, the blend of old school heavy riffs, thrashy groove, ambient space, rock, avant-garde vibes, and so much more would fall extremely flat. Here though, it's in the hands of Enslaved, so it is a source of fascination. That is up there as one of the band's most challenging tracks to date, in my opinion. I do kind of love it though. Although the highlight of the album comes next, in the form of Kingdom, in my opinion, featuring an epic intro before transitioning it into a powerful, touching and daring display of progressive brilliance that feels and sounds exactly like Enslaved have always sounded, but way more evolved. This is still really fresh and interesting. Now, Enslaved could probably call it right there and leave everyone who's listened to the first 4 tracks completely satisfied. A 4-track album with 4 extremely detailed, nuanced pieces of music that you'll be listening to over and over again and finding new stuff out every time you do. You'll be extremely satisfied. Yet they're far from done, with a latter portion that sees the band continue to push their experimental and extreme sound to even grander, stranger and more unique levels. The Eternal Sea's moody and verbose intro bleeds into an atmospherically charged tempo shift with vocals that soar, getting darker and heavier as it goes on, leading to some chaotic intensity and a very epic outro. Followed then by the immense grandeur and brash savagery of Caverns to the Outer Worlds, before the title track wraps things up with a touch of eerie synth, volatile ruthlessness and ambient tone shifts. It is, again, a wacky expansion of the experience so far, and ends the album in a uniquely challenging way. There's that word again, challenging. I'm so aware that for everyone that thinks this is, as I say at the start, a work of genius, others are going to think potentially it's a bit nonsensical because it is so experimental. But it's also not an album that you listen to just once. It's far too detailed with far too much going on overall to understand. You have to understand it needs more than one run through to really take it all in. It needs time, it needs patience, and it needs a bit of an open mind. Find all of that and you're going to be mesmerized by what Enslaved deliver here. A band that continues to push themselves, which is so admirable. And with Heimdal, I'd say they've done that to near breaking point. I am fascinated to hear opinions on this record. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you sit somewhere in the middle? How does this compare to their back catalogue? Bear in mind it's their 16th album. It is Heimdal and it is out on March 3rd, 2023 via Nuclear Blast. You know what to do. Check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?